Well, good afternoon, everyone. You must really want to know about this topic because it's 4 o'clock, and I have the enviable position of presenting at the end of the day. So I'm that one person between you and your cocktail, you and getting home fast, you and beating the traffic. So please give me about 15 minutes or so, and I'll leave some time for questions. So let's see if this is working. I don't see it up there, but I see it shifting here. There we go. Okay. So today we're going to, like I said, it's going to be very high level so that you can ask questions that are of specific interest to you. Key takeaways today, I'd like you to hear about employer brand and culture and how it affects talent attraction, nurturing high potentials and organizational success and how that relates to retaining your talent, learning and development and the growth mindset. How are you growing your top talent? And the role of employee engagement in building a resilient and adaptable workforce. So the first thing I'm going to talk about, and I don't think there's anything here that you're going to hear for the first time, but it's a matter of having some sort of strategy to put it all together. So attracting top talent, building a strong employer brand. I think one of the things that we have to do as HR professionals is to figure out if a candidate is trying to come to your company or get interviewed or looking at the jobs that you have posted, what is it about your company that will make them apply to your role as opposed to another role? So for Ipsos, we're very strong on employer brand. So defining what some of the company's unique value propositions are. And we don't wait for a guessing game or wait for the interview to let people know what our employee value propositions are. So right on our website, there's a Join Ipsos, and right on it, you can see the details of what we have. Some of the things that people are attracted to at Ipsos are generative AI, the use of it, learning, training people on Gen AI. We have our own in-house AI tool called Ipsos Facto. So people who are interested in using generative AI in their everyday work are attracted to us. Another thing that attracts people is our maternity program. It's a program when you're coming back from maternity leave. So it could be any of the parents. For the first 4 weeks of return to work, you get to work for 4 days, but you get paid for 5. So people kind of like that. We also have a 6-week work from anywhere program. So with the onset of COVID, coming back into the office, one of the benefits is you can work from Costa Rica for 6 weeks and then tack on an extra 2 weeks of your vacation on it. So that's some of the things that we have that attract people applying to our roles. Showcasing our company culture and values. Our values are integrity, curiosity, collaboration, client first, and entrepreneurial spirit. These values are embedded in all our employees from the day they start. So from the day you have your interview, you already know what the values are. And we encourage you to really believe in those values before you move further in the interview process, because you will be judged on our values. That's how we operate every single day. All our interactions amongst each other, amongst new employees, all are based around our values. Effective recruitment strategies. Like I said earlier, leveraging social media and professional networks. On the social media platform, we talk a lot about what we're doing in the company. So when we have our Bright Star Awards, the whole world knows about it. Whatever we're doing, everybody knows about it. We're at a presentation, everyone's going to hear about it. Our marketing team, when I get back to work tomorrow, they're going to say, what did you do? Give us a picture, and they're going to splash it all over LinkedIn. So a lot of people reach out to me, and they're like, oh my goodness, it sounds like your company is very exciting. Well, it is, because we show it off. Leveraging social media, like I said, Join Ipsos tells you everything you want to know about the company. So it's no secret. You don't have to wait till you pass an interview to find out, oh my goodness, the benefits are terrible. Or whatever it is you find out when you get into a company after an interview process. Candidate experiences. We want you to enjoy the experience of going through an interview process before you arrive. We want during your interview process that you're really hoping that you get that job. because we tell you all about the fun that you could have in the company. We tell you all about our culture. Our culture is very rich. Our employees know that the culture is not dependent on Linda. I don't sit down and write down how our culture will be. Everybody is responsible for that culture. You want a fun environment? You come in with fun, so everybody knows that that's what it is. Retaining top talent. So you've gone through the process of attracting them, you've used social media, now they're here. How do you retain them? You've got to create a positive and engaging workforce. This is becoming more and more challenging with the fact that a lot of companies are either fully remote, hybrid, whatever the work situation is, it is getting more and more challenging to keep everyone engaged. So we talk a lot about fostering open communication and feedback between our employees and their managers, amongst employees, and between employees and senior leadership. Our office is very open concept. So I could be sitting right next to someone who was hired in the most junior position this morning, and she might be sitting right next to me. We don't go around with our titles. We go around just with our names. So everyone's, someone came up to me and complained about something about garbage. The garbage it smells over by the kitchen or something. They didn't know who I was. I was like, okay, great, well, we'll get that fixed. And then 2 weeks later, she came running to me, sorry, I didn't know you were head of HR. I'm like, that's okay, I don't have my title written anywhere. But having that open communication with all your employees actually helps us, because that's the only way that we know exactly what it is that our employees are looking for. Providing opportunities for growth and development, this is so huge. When we ask a lot of our employees, what are you looking for the most when you apply to a position at Ipsos? They want to know how they can grow in the research industry. They want to know what can you offer me so that 5 years from now, I am way ahead of where I am today. So we have growth and development opportunities for all of our employees, either from our learning systems or from pairing people up. Pairing someone who's more senior with someone who's just joined the company, someone who's 1 year in their role. We also have those opportunities for inter-business line mobility. So promotions and development in your career doesn't mean you're going this way. It could be going this way as well. So it could be lateral moves as well. Recognizing and rewarding high performance. When we poll our employees, one of the things that they don't want to hear is that I'm working super hard and my colleague over here is doing absolutely nothing. And we both have the same. We both have the same compensation. We both have the same benefits. We both have the same opportunities. What's distinguishing me, who's a high performer, from the other people? And so our recognition programs, to make sure that people do know that you are rewarded for being a top performer. How do we do that? Implementing effective performance management systems, creating goals that are really measurable by our employees. Not just measurable, but attainable. When you set goals that are so high lofted that no one can get there, employees don't start to work on it. So ensuring that our goals and what we're expecting of our employees are not just attainable, but they're exciting to the employees themselves. Offering competitive compensation and benefit packages. I don't know why I have this in there, because there's not one employee that I'm going to ask, hey, do we have a competitive compensation? The answer is always going to be no. But for us, if we can figure it out and make sure that we have proper benchmarks against other companies in our industry, then we're ahead of the game. But this is always a big one, because everyone says, oh my goodness, my friend in company A is earning $20,000 more than me. Then you go and check, and the person has a different title, different expectations, everything's different. They've got way more experience, but, so yeah, offering competitive compensation, I think is a little bit of a cliche thing, but as long as you're benchmarking within your own industry, you'll be ahead of the game. How do you grow top talent and high potentials? Well, identify who they are. I think that's the first thing. Assessing skills, competencies, and potential. On a daily basis, on a regular basis, you've got to figure out what it is that you need to assess to be able to identify someone who's got that potential down the road. Someone who's got the potential to lead, someone who's got the potential to grow in their role, grow their teams. Who is it that you can identify based on their skills, competencies, and potential? Conducting stay interviews for us is a big thing. Why is it that we have our employees staying at the company? You know, a lot of times we do interviews to come into the company and then exit interviews. How about that time in between? Jane, how come you're here? You've been here for 10 years. What's keeping you here? You know, John, you've been here for 15 years. What is it that's keeping you here? Because there are other places you could go to. Why are you here? That helps us. Because when we hear why Jane and John are here for X number of years, we're able to either improve upon those things, or they have that knowledge base. They've been here long enough to say, hey, you know, I like everything except for A, B, or C. Then we're able to improve ourselves. Talent reviews and succession planning. The speaker before me spoke about succession planning. That is so important. Even if you don't announce to someone that they are the successor of whatever position, but everyone understanding that there is that program. There is a thing called succession, where we are looking at you for your next role. We are training you and growing you for your next role. You're not just here, just doing your job 9 to 5. I say a lot in our town halls that when you join Ipsos, you're not here for a job. You're here for a career. And we treat you that way from day one. Is what's your career going to look like? When people come in, I have a 1-hour session with all our new hires. And I ask them a question. In 5 years, when you're still working here, what do you want to be working as? And they have to think about it, and I tell them to write it down. In 5 years, I'm going to talk to you again, and then we'll see where you are. So everyone has that mindset that the company has their growth in mind. Developing and nurturing high potentials. High potentials are sometimes challenging, but they're going to advance your company. You've got to make sure that you've got targeted training and development programs for your high potentials. High potentials get bored easily. So once they've mastered whatever project it is you've given them, if you don't get another project, guess what? When they go home, they're finishing up their resume to apply for another job. So keep them working. Give training programs that they feel are of value. Offering mentoring and coaching opportunities. A lot of high potential employees need to be paired up with someone who's walked the road that they would like to walk. Someone who knows a little bit more about their role. Giving cross-functional project assignments so that they are engaged. Like I said, the high potentials, you really need to have a program in place to make sure that they are engaged. Empowering leaders to sustain high performance and keep an agile workforce. This is a big one. Equipping leaders with essential skills and tools involves leadership training and development, ensuring that your leaders have the training, the skills that they need to be able to do their work effectively. So like I said at the beginning, we use generative AI in every single function. You know, people think, oh, you know, Gen AI is for the business, and HR just keeps the policies and says, you know, use sparingly. No, we all use AI. I use AI every single day. So we have this running joke, you know, we don't have budget for me to have 2 assistants, but I have 2 assistants. I have Ipsos Facto and I have Microsoft Copilot. They don't have work hours. They work 24/7. They're never tired. They're never bored. I love it. So I've got my 2 assistants. Providing technologies, like I said, and the resources for effective management and to drive high performance. Giving our managers or our leaders the tools that they need to actually assess their employees on a regular basis. To make sure that when you're asking for those 360 feedback, you actually give them tools to be able to do that effectively. Fostering a culture of continuous feedback and recognition, I touched on this earlier. Regular cadence of feedback and performance discussions between managers and their employees, between leaders and managers, between executive teams and their leaders. Just having ongoing discussions so that everyone knows where they are. That helps with transparency in the company, so that everybody knows that they have a place in the company. Encouraging innovation and calculated risk-taking. If I had some business people in here, they'd be like, no risk. But innovation and calculated risk-taking actually helps the growth of your company. If you encourage your employees to feel free to be innovative. When you put too many guardrails on your employees, they're not innovative. You put too many guardrails, they're not going to take any risks. And it could be that one risk they took that opens up something huge in the company. So always try and encourage that. So, the growth and development of people is the highest calling of leadership. I like to have our executive team always think about this sentence because it emphasizes the crucial role that leaders play in nurturing and developing their employees' potential, recognizing that investing in people is the most important aspect of leadership. Also, by prioritizing employee growth and development, leaders can create a culture of excellence where individuals are encouraged to continuously improve and reach their full potential. Thank you. Any questions? Yeah?
Hi, my name is Karamat. Some great tips to take away from today's session.
Thank you.
Thank you for that. I just have a sort of, out of curiosity, I want to hear from you about, you were speaking about candidate experience during the interview process. If you can share what you do in your workplace to see what we can learn from that experience.
So candidate experience.
Through the interview process.
Through the interview process. Okay. There is one thing that we insist on. Everybody gets a response. It's either a rejection response or a move to a next interview response, but everybody gets a response. It's really awful when people apply for a job and are in limbo. Everyone wants to know whether they're moving on or not. So that's the first thing. The second thing is we want to make sure that we don't have 5 interviews for one role. It's not happening. Maximum is 3. Now, we could make one of those a panel. Everybody, when they're hiring someone, everybody in the department wants to have, a role in the interview process. Great. It's still going to be a 3-step process. So we're not having 5 interviews because, head of there decided, I want to interview them as well. We're all going to be in a panel, and that's going to be the final interview. The other thing we do is that we use scoring sheets so that, people are not just hired because we like the suit they're wearing or, we like how they spoke. That's not what it's about. It's about having a fair assessment of whoever we're going to hire and making sure that through the process, every person who is being interviewed leaves that experience, whether they're hired or not, they love the experience that they have. And as I said earlier, we want them through the interview process by the end of it to really want to join Ipsos. Hope that helps. Yes?
You talked about a regular cadence of feedback and performance discussions. Can you elaborate on what that kind of looks like at Ipsos?
Sure. So we have our annual performance review process. That's, once a year, everybody sits down. However, prior to that annual performance review, we do have mini performance reviews every quarter. So every quarter, you've got to have a discussion with your teammate, the people that you lead, even if it's 5-10 minutes, so that by the time you get to the annual performance, there are absolutely no surprises. We also use something called iTalent. It's an Oracle-based system where we have our employees document everything that they're doing through the year. Because if there's a management change between now and the next review, we want to make sure that everything that they've been doing has been documented. So you document what your own highlights. It's your own toot board, toot your own horn. But make sure that you keep it recorded in case you have a management change. Hope that helps.
Hi, this has been really good. I have two questions, actually.
Yeah.
Stay interviews. Can you expand a little bit more on that? Because
Yes.
that's actually a group we don't get to. And how do you pick the people? And do you do it with everybody at certain stages? And then my second question is, how do you use Microsoft Copilot in your job?
Okay, perfect. So the first is stay interviews. So stay interview, I have my HRBP team conduct those. And what it is we start level by level. So let's say for this business unit, we're going to start at the top. So we're going to start with our senior vice presidents and ask them, number one, why are they still here as a leader, right? Because we want to get perspective from every level of the organization. We don't assume that because you're a leader, you're there because everything's copacetic, right? So we want to know why you're there as a leader. What are the challenges that you have in your role? What would you like to see differently? What are the resources that you need to help your job to be more effective? We do that for the top, and then we go all the way down. That's on the stay interviews. Based on the results, I could have to have a meeting with our learning and development team. I may need to meet with our IT team. If someone says, if we see that there is a trend that everybody's got old laptops, and so, it takes 20 minutes to boot in the morning, and so they can't be effective in their job, then I might be having a meeting with IT. But the whole point is asking the questions based on the level and what the role is to ensure that, number one, as a company, the culture is good for them. Number two, they're still being fulfilled in their role, in whatever role they're in. Number three, that they can manage their people, or if it's a lower level employee, what's their relationship with their manager like? And then we accompany it with a 360 feedback for everyone. And the second was Copilot. I ask Copilot questions all day long. How do I use it? I use Copilot to help my communications that I send out. I use Copilot to ask of new legislation that's coming in. I think the important thing with using AI is to recognize that AI sometimes tends to hallucinate. So your prompting is very important. You could sometimes put in a question into Copilot, and what I like about Copilot is it gives you the sources. So if I say, give me the latest legislation in Ontario on topic X, and can you please tell me what your sources are and how recent is the information you're going to give me? It gives me the update, it tells me where it got it from, and it tells me how recent it is. So a lot of it is dependent on prompting. So at Ipsos, we've had training on Gen AI for over a year. And the key thing is prompting. When I'm writing out my communication, I'll say, I'm a head of HR. The audience is the employees in the organization. The number of people are X. I want to convey this in a professional manner, or I want to convey it in not so strict a manner. It's all on the prompting. But it helps everything, job descriptions, you name it. You're welcome. We good? All right, thank you very much.